When the ambulance arrived, I was unconscious. When I woke up, the nurse was on the phone with my mother. "She always exaggerates," my mom said. "We have more important things to do. We can't come." I heard every word, and from that moment I started taking notes. My name is Sarah. I'm 28 years old, and I'll never forget the lesson my family taught me during the hardest time of my life. This is the story of the biggest revenge I planned from a hospital bed. I had my heart attack when I was 26. Yes, 26. Young, but stress, poor diet, and constant pressure from my family had destroyed my body. That day, driving home from my office in Denver, I felt a sharp pain in my chest. I don't remember what happened next. I woke up staring at a white ceiling in the ICU at Presbyterian St. Joseph Hospital. I was surrounded by machines. Nurse Linda was beside me, talking on the phone. I recognized the voice. It was my mother, Margaret. "Yes, your daughter woke up, but her condition is serious. Are you planning to visit?" Linda asked. I waited for my mother's response. Maybe she'd be worried. Maybe she'd say she was coming right away from Colorado Springs. "She always exaggerates. She does these things for attention. We have very important things this week. Jessica is preparing for her college exams. We need to focus on her." My heart stopped for the second time. Metaphorically this time. Jessica. My little sister, 18 years old, the apple of the family's eye. While I was fighting for my life in the hospital, her SAT prep was more important. "I understand," Linda said, with obvious surprise in her voice. "Is there another relative we can call?" "She has a brother, Michael, but he's also preparing for finals. He's at Harvard in Boston. Don't bother him. Sarah is a strong girl, she'll manage." Linda hung up and looked at me. There was sadness in her eyes. "I'm sorry, honey," she said softly. I just smiled. "I'm used to it," I said, but I really wasn't used to it. And that night, between the beeping sounds of the monitors, I started planning the rest of my life. No one called for the first 24 hours. On the second day, my sister posted photos from her ski trip in Aspen on Instagram. On the third day, my brother shared his Harvard achievements on LinkedIn. On the fourth day, my mother posted a picture on Facebook of dining with friends in Denver. Just an hour away, but too busy to visit me. On the fifth day, the doctor came. "Miss Johnson," he said, "your condition is serious. You might need to be put on the heart transplant list. We need to talk to your family." "No need," I said. "I'll handle it." And I started handling it. My first task was to check my insurance. I was lucky. My corporate insurance covered almost everything. My second task was calling my lawyer. My third task was much more interesting. I was a computer engineer, and I knew my family very well. I had access to all their financial situations, because for years I had been their tech person. I was the one who managed Dad's retirement account, set up Mom's online banking, and tracked Jessica's credit card debt. And I knew all their passwords. On my 6th day in the hospital, I got to work. From my tablet, I accessed my family's financial accounts. I was shocked. Their situation was much worse than I thought. My father, Robert, had made early withdrawals from his retirement account. He said it was for Jessica's college expenses, but the money had gone to luxury vacations. My mother, Margaret's credit card debt had reached $45,000. They had taken a second mortgage for Michael's Harvard expenses, and they knew they couldn't afford my hospital bills. That's why they hadn't come. Not from shame, but from fear. On the 7th day, Linda came. "Sarah, we talked to your family. They're worried about the hospital costs. You might need to speak with a social worker." I smiled. "Linda, could you do me a favor? I'd like to speak with the hospital director." An hour later, John Martinez, the hospital's chief executive, was sitting in my room. "Miss Johnson, I heard about your situation. What can we do for you?" "Mr. Martinez, I work at a software company, but I also do independent consulting. I can identify security vulnerabilities in your hospital system and provide solutions. In exchange, you reduce my treatment costs. He raised his eyebrows. Are you serious? Last week, I found 3 different vulnerabilities that could access your system from a hospital bed. One gives access to your patient records, one to your financial system, and one to your medication inventory. His face went white. This is very serious. Yes, and I can solve these for you free of charge. All I ask is to never see a bill from this hospital. 2 hours later, I had a signed agreement in my hands. On the 8th day, my family finally came. When the 3 of them entered my room together, I wanted to laugh. Margaret was trying to look worried. Robert was looking for someone to blame. And Jessica couldn't take her eyes off her phone. "Sarah, honey, we're so sorry," my mother said. "You know, we were so busy and—" "Were you worried about my hospital bills?" I cut her off. Both their faces turned red. "No, honey, we were just—" $74,000, I said. "That's what the total cost is." Jessica finally looked up from her phone. "How much?" she asked. $74,000. Heart surgery, intensive care, medications. You know, the works. Robert cleared his throat. "Sarah, we want to help, but Jessica has school expenses, Michael has Harvard tuition, and you have second mortgage payments." I listed them all one by one. Shocked looks. "How do you know?" Margaret asked. "Because I'm your tech person, remember? I've been managing all your accounts for years. So, what are we going to do about the bills?" Robert asked. I smiled. "Nothing. I've handled it." "What do you mean?" Jessica asked in surprise. "I made a deal with the hospital. All my expenses have been waived." "How is that possible?" Robert couldn't believe it. "Because I gave them something much more valuable than $74,000, my expertise." That night, after I sent my family out of my room, Linda came. "How did you find your family?" she asked. "Exactly as I expected," I said. "I want to tell you something, Sarah. I've been nursing for 15 years. I've never seen what you went through. Family is so important, yet they didn't come even when you were fighting for your life." I nodded. "I know, Linda, but it doesn't matter anymore." "Why?" "Because from now on, I'll choose my own family." After being discharged from the hospital, my first task was renting a new apartment. I moved completely from Colorado Springs to Denver. My second task was changing my phone number. 3 weeks later, Margaret called. Of course, she called my old number. It showed up as unknown number on my phone. I answered. "Sarah, where are you? We've been calling your number for days." "I have a new number," I said calmly. "Why didn't you tell us?" "I didn't think we had a situation that would require telling you." Silence. "Sarah, please. I know we did wrong. We should have been with you at the hospital." "Yes, you should have been. We want to make it up to you. Come this weekend. Let's have a family dinner." I laughed. "No, thank you." "Why?" "Because I'm no longer on your emergency list, and you're no longer on my priority list." "Sarah, this is too harsh. We're family." "Family," I said, "are the people who stand by you in the hospital. Family doesn't abandon you in hard times. Family doesn't call you because they need you, but because they love you." And I hung up. 6 months later, Michael graduated from Harvard. I wasn't invited to the ceremony. I didn't care, because that day I got promoted at my new company in Denver. I became a senior software architect. A year later, Jessica graduated from the University of Colorado. This time, I received an invitation, but I didn't go, because that day, I was wine tasting in Napa Valley with my new boyfriend, David. 2 years later, Margaret's credit card debts got out of control. She called me, asking for help. "You understand technology? Can you set up an online payment plan?" she said. No, I said. But I can recommend a good financial advisor. 3 years later, Robert started having heart problems. Margaret called me. Do you know an experienced cardiologist? She asked. No, I said. But you can Google it. 4 years later, Jessica got married. I received the wedding invitation, a beautiful, expensive card. Inside was a handwritten note. We miss you. Please come. David and I thought about it. Should you go? He asked. I don't know, I said. If you want to forgive, go. If you don't want to forgive, don't go. But you need to decide. That night, I thought for a long time. I remembered when Jessica was a little girl, the times I taught her to ride a bike, the necklace I bought her for her high school graduation. Then I remembered those hospital days, her ski photos from Aspen, her Instagram stories during the days I was fighting for my life. I threw the wedding invitation in the trash. 5 years later, today, I founded my own company. Cloud Secure Solutions is Colorado's fastest growing company in cybersecurity. I have 25 employees and our annual revenue is $2 million. This morning, my assistant Melissa came. Sarah, there's a mother and daughter at the door who want to see you. They don't have an appointment, but they say they're from your family. My heart raced. I knew who they were. Let them in, I said. When Margaret and Jessica entered my office, both had changed a lot. Margaret had aged, and Jessica looked pregnant. Sarah? Margaret said, her eyes tearing up. We're so proud of you. I said nothing. This office is amazing, Jessica said. You have your own company. We didn't know. You didn't ask, I said. Silence. Margaret leaned forward. Sarah, we know we did wrong. Everything changed after those hospital days. We realized we lost you. You didn't lose me, I said calmly. I distanced myself from you. Isn't that the same thing? Jessica asked. No. Losing is something uncontrollable. Distancing is a conscious choice. Margaret started crying. Please, Sarah. You're going to have a niece or nephew. Jessica wants to introduce her baby to their aunt. I stood up and went to the window. The city of Denver stretched below. Do you want to be this baby's aunt, Jessica? I asked. Yes, she said with her voice. An aunt, I said, is someone who stands by the child when they're sick. An aunt is someone who makes the child feel they belong in the family during hard times. An aunt is someone who calls because they care about you, not because they need you. I turned to look at them. Do you think you'll be that kind of aunt to this baby? Jessica's eyes filled with tears. Sarah, I was very young then. I made a mistake. You were 18, Jessica, college age, but you were old enough to know basic human values. Margaret stood up. Sarah, please, what do we need to do? Tell us. We'll do it. For the first time, I smiled. Nothing, I said, because I don't want anything from you anymore. But we want you, Jessica said. I know where you were when I wanted you, not when you needed me, I said. They picked up their bags and left. Margaret turned at the door. Sarah, we love you. I know, I said. But love isn't enough. After the door closed, Melissa came in. Are you okay? She asked. I'm fine, I said, and I really was fine. That evening, while cooking dinner with David at home, I said, my family came today. How did you feel? I felt nothing, I said, and that was exactly what I should have felt. He hugged me. I'm proud of you. Yes, when I started taking notes during those hospital days, I was planning revenge. But in the end, I realized that the greatest revenge was being happy without them. I chose my family. I chose David. I chose my employees at my company. I chose people who truly valued me. And now, as I share this story with you, if you have a similar situation, know this. You don't have to prove yourself to people who don't value you. Value yourself. Be with those who love you, because real family is built not with blood ties but with heart connections.